Whilst I have been on lockdown and thinking about the rocket heading to the International Space Station, I have managed to uncover the mysteries of the universe. Looking up at the stars, it all became clear. And it really is quite simple. It's hard to really imagine that there is an infinity of darkness out there. Where does it end? How did it begin? How did the worlds form? What is the universe? Well, I have the mysteries we have always wondered are so extremely simple your mind will be blown. So for now, please forget everything you know, or think you know, and approach this with an open mind. As a believer in science, I'd ask for the time being to certainly forget this chap. So let's focus on the things we know. Or the things at least we think we understand. Like this little fellow, remember Mr. DNA Man? Utilizing atoms and cells, he created life as we know it. To skip the fancy scientific words, DNA, cells and atoms all contain hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon and phosphorus. All of which we have found within our galaxy. Here we are now, in space. You may wish to notice that this is part of a universe. A galaxy, in fact. This is a cell. Let's look at the universe again. Here it is, this is a universe. Shall we go back to the cell? Okay. Here is a cell. Look at how it stretches and reaches from nucleus to nucleus, brain to brain. Now look at a universe. Look how it stretches from hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon and phosphorus to hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon and phosphorus. Some similarities, would you say? No, maybe not yet convinced. Let's give you a bit more to chew. Are you ready? Cell. Universe. Cell. For now, let's go back to this cell. Look at the tubular structures, they look like they serve an important purpose, right? Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say something formed in such a way, albeit this universe, would serve some higher purpose? Okay, fine, since we are talking about the vast giganticness of space, let's naturally go a little smaller. Smaller than a cell, we have atoms. This is an atom, a lot smaller than a cell. An atom itself is made up of three tiny kinds of particles called subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. The equivalent to a single proton is a nucleus of hydrogen. Then came the birth of hydrogen atoms and helium atoms from protons and neutrons. And here is space again. This time, we are looking at galaxies like the atom to the cell. The galaxy is much smaller than the universe. These galaxies quite coincidentally looking similar to the atoms and are made up of similar particles. Very strange, wouldn't you say? Let's look again. Here is an atom. And here is a galaxy. Look at the position of the particles and the nucleus. Galaxy. Look at the position of the planets, moons and suns. Let's just do a couple more. Atom. Galaxy. Atom. Galaxy. Atom. Galaxy. Okay, moving on. So next I would like to draw your attention to the nucleus of a nitrogen atom at the center of everything. Very similar to the Sun. Giving energy to planets, just mathematically in range to benefit. So that's what I think. Universe are giant cells and galaxies are giant atoms, or something similar to the likes. So big that we could never see nor comprehend the structures these atoms and cells were forming. And on the flip side, I believe the cells and atoms that we see through our telescopes are also universes and galaxies, but we will never advance the technology enough to see planets, minute geological structures and maybe tiny life, considering how far a planet may be from its nucleus/sun. Therefore, if you open your mind up to the possibility of a near infinite range of smaller and smaller and smaller universes from one plane of existence to the smaller plane, this would certainly answer the question of what the universe is. It is all growth of matter rather than an infinity of nothing. I'm sensing you are still not convinced. Stay with me. FYI, BTW, just to let one know, my voice may change soon. This tends to happen when I skip from one free program with limited words to another. Anywho, that's what I think the universe is, but how would it form? How did the Earth begin? Look at this process. To really cut the science out, the neutrons etc. gather so tightly, then boom, energy is excreted, creating new neutrons. This process is called binary/nuclear fission. Well, let's now take what we said before. The neutrons are the planets and the electrons and protons are the other things such as gases, black holes and anomalies found in our universe. They bind together and boom, a big bang.
Take a second and look at this cycle of a neutron. Now look at this model and cycle of a universe or galaxy. The sun and the nucleus are in the same place. The gases are in the same place as the fission product, filling the voids of space, giving it reason and purpose for the fifth time. And the planets are where the new neutrons would have formed. The further away we get from the quantum fluctuations and the afterglow light form the last fission, the universe expands into darkness, until either the next galaxy or a new galaxy or planet is formed through another Big Bang. Just as these galaxies seen are set to collide in our Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy are predicted to collide in about 4.5 billion years, this shares unfathomable likeness to the actions of neutrons. Here is a representation of the Big Bang. And here is nuclear fission. Quite strangely, the planets can only sustain life if they have the ideal conditions: heat, moisture, oxygen, etc. And the Earth only started to flourish, in my opinion, towards the latter stages of its existence. What I would call the mold stage. I would suggest there was no life on Earth until the biodegradation of natural materials. Like a slice of cheese, left out in slightly unsustainable conditions. The Earth could now grow vegetation, then leading on to evolution, but that's a whole different ballgame. If fission doesn't happen to the galaxies before the planets and stars die, then they become black holes. The cheese that withers away, all well and good, but there is a frightening truth: if we are just a cell in another huge universe, although this theory is quite frightening and very hard to explain, our entire existence could be wiped out at any second. Let's say that our universe was situated on the wings of a fly that got squatted, or on the top of a match head within a larger universe, or the universe larger than that, and so on. Then when the match head was struck, our universe and billions and trillions of others, including all the smaller ones within our cells, and then their cells would burn with it. Following?
Oh hello, seems I got my voice back. Anyway, the match. Let's say this match was made from a tree and compiled in a factory, sold in a shop, and the buyer stuck the match 10 days after it was first taken from the tree. Those 10 days in the larger universal planes would be billions of years in our time. This is because of gravitational time dilation. In basic terms, the further away from our center of gravity we get, the faster time gets. This ties in with the theory of mass and speed. Why those pesky flies always get away? Because we are so much slower than them. On the plus side, if we were squatted or set on fire, it's probably already happened and would take a few hundred years in our time to affect us. Two identical twins tested the theory of gravitational time dilation, and after one of the twins spent a year in space, there were many differences within the DNA and structure of the body, but they could only conclude the space twin to be half to a second older. And in case you are wondering, yes, this does indicate a form of time travel is hypothetically possible should we ever be able to travel far enough and fast enough through space in the correct direction. And I think that's all I have for you. The mysteries of the universe were under our nose the whole time. We were looking for big answers and missing the smallest clues. Ciao for now.